Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Come Out and Play podcast, proudly presented by Golf Town. My name is Hugh Burrell. Glad to have you along. My guest this time around, well, he's a very familiar face to anyone who watches YouTube Golf for content. He is a filmmaker who brings us fascinating stories about golf and the people who play. He hosts a breaking series which pits golfers of varying skill levels against some of the most famous courses on the planet. And he does it all with a friendly, casual approach that always emphasizes that golf is best when it's for everybody. And it's for that very reason that Golf Town has partnered up with him for something very special that's happening next month. Please welcome to Come Out and Play the man behind Random Golf Club and the Mad Scramble Tour, Erik Anders Lang. Erik, how you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me, Hugh. I got to just say, for the record, for those of you listening, you're a professional. And, I love, because we were chatting, we had a bit of a chat, and then all of a sudden it's like, and do you know Scott Van Pelt?
I know of him. I haven't met him, but,
so I got the lucky chance to meet him when I was in DC, like a few months ago. And, I think you and I would both look up to this cat.
Absolutely.
Right?
For sure. I love his haircut. Yeah.
He's got a great haircut. He also started in golf.
Yep.
But I watched him got to do his thing, and he did one. It was like a 1.5 minute bit around a story, and he finished. He goes, no, I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah.
And then he counts himself down. And what's interesting is you counted yourself down, and I, because of SVP, started counting myself down. And I'm just my observation was that it makes it more serious. I'm curious to know. For you, because you're obviously a professional, like I said.
I spent about 3 decades in broadcasting before taking this job. So yeah, there's a little bit of that.
I love it.
It's
and I
great.
also love how like, and I don't know when it happened. I sorry to keep derailing this, but like, I never wanted to be in broadcast.
Yeah.
I've noticed that people are like, oh, you have a great voice for radio. And I'm like, well, did I before the podcast, or is it just a product of listening to your own voice where you start to just play with it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You were a kid, were you like rounding third, or what had happened for you?
I just kind of fell into it by accident. I really wasn't very good at anything else. So
I love it.
I love it. Yeah, it's great. It's amazing the paths we take, and your path is going to lead you to Canada, to a Canadian golf course for the first time. We are so excited about this golf adventure we're going to embark on with you next month. It's called the 400-some. For those out there who don't know what the 400-some is, tell us what it is.
Well, it's pretty self-explanatory, number one. And but number two, it's a challenge, right? I remember we had some early talks with Golf Town, and they were like, hey, we'd like to bring Random Golf Club to Canada. We have not been there yet. And they were like, what's something crazy we could do? And well, what crazier than, I think one of the things we love about the Mad Scramble is that, it's a truly all are welcome type event where, you can have, someone who got into golf a week ago who only has a wedge and a driver, standing next to someone with just Pine Valley logos and things like that, and a cypress hat or a sawgrass belt. And I think that's really important in not only today's world. We've gone through a lot in the last 10 years. Social media has really changed the way that we approach our lives and our social lives in particular, and working remote and and so being outside with strangers, aka new friends, potential friends, whether they be far down the golf journey, whether they have a finance degree, whether they're a ex-alcoholic, ambulance driver, we all have that thing in common. We have a passion for a challenging game. And so the Mad Scramble is designed to basically bottle that up in the biggest possible container and hopefully lead to the ultimate outcome we look for at these events is phones out, changing numbers at the end. That's the KPI of the Mad Scramble Tour. And, we price it in a way where it's like you can't afford not to go. And that's thanks to partners like Golf Town. So the 400-some is the biggest we've ever done and probably will ever do. So
it's like the Mad Scramble on steroids.
Yeah, as if it needed more steroids. It's now on more steroids.
It's incredible. So when I first heard about this, 400 people playing the same hole at the same time. My first question was, what's that going to look like? How is that going to work?
Yeah. Yeah, we've actually been asking ourselves that same question. No, I'm kidding. We're comfortable doing 150, right? We've done 150 many times. In fact, today's Tuesday. I don't know when this is going to air, but 3 days ago, our events team was in Seattle, and we had 130 people at Chambers Bay. And that's pretty easy for us, right?
Yeah.
And the simple mathematics is we play 9 holes. We do it in less than 3 hours. And we basically play a scramble where everyone tees off. The real unlock for timing is wide tee boxes speed up the round
Yeah.
because you can have 6 people teeing off or maybe even 8 instead of 3, right? That's the biggest game changer. And then also the complexity of the golf holes, right? Like, you know, what are we kind of playing into? I mean, I know at Chambers Bay, there's a par 3 where you can fit 30 people wide teeing
Yeah.
off. So,
Yeah.
that's the way we do it. And what's really great is from a golfer's standpoint, from the members' standpoint, right? They get to not only play on a team, but they get to play on a big team.
Yeah.
And so a chip in for one is a chip in for all.
Yeah.
And it's a really, you're coming, Hugh, right?
I'm coming. I'm going to be there. Yeah.
You've had, how long have you been playing golf?
Yeah, 20 some years, I guess. You would think that I'd be much better than I am. Also
No,
working
no,
for Golf
I
Town,
don't
you think
think
I'd be much
that
better, but no. Yeah.
you work in golf. You're supposed to be terrible.
Yeah, that's true. And never play. That's I've been with Golf Town for about 3 years now. That's the one thing I've noticed is like people who actually work in the industry don't play that much.
Right. It's super ironic. But all that is to say is that when you see it, it will it will manifest into your being in a way that you probably couldn't have expected. I think the best way to describe the experience itself is it's a moving cocktail party with a subtle purpose. It's kind of like a big walkabout. And we every once in a while need to hit a golf ball. And so you're experiencing the love of watching the flight of the ball, exhibiting your swing in front of a bunch of strangers, like watching how different people play, but mostly you're socializing and it's a bit of a cocktail party.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's the rule for the day. You just get out there, have fun, come out and play. So what's the biggest mad scramble you've had up to this point? How many people?
Um, I believe the most we've ever had was at Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx, Vanny, the oldest municipal golf course in North America. And that was this summer. I think we checked in just around 140.
Okay.
And
So
that was a big one.
140 is a long way from 400.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's less than half.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no mathematician, but yeah, that seems like any trepidation about 400 people.
No, like going back to its earliest days, the Mad Scramble was actually a solution because I had a problem. My problem was that I was in Australia and I had agreed to play golf with 10 people and I didn't have time to go play 10 different rounds. So I just said, hey, everybody, what's your phone numbers? Put them all in a group chat. And I said, why don't we meet at Royal Park, a 9-hole course in the center of Melbourne? And I said, let's all see if we can play together. And we did. We went pro shop. I said, hey, Tom, you work here. I don't know you, but what do you think about us all playing together? And he said, fine with me. So we played I think we were a 12-some in the end. And, it was strange at first. But after 4 holes, all of a sudden, it was like we were old friends. After 9, we didn't want to finish, so we kept playing. Tom came out of the pro shop, joined us, became 13, played a few holes in the dark. Tom said afterwards, I can open up the bar. We can grab some drinks and hang here for a while. Stayed until midnight.
Perfect.
So ever since then, it's been its own little monster, Hugh. Right? I don't really, right? Like we've built a team around managing these events, and Charles, Gabe, Sam, Tyler, right? Like these guys sort of live and breathe our events, and so am I worried? Not really, but also part of me has this weird little uh trick in my brain, which is that when something breaks or goes wrong, I kind of get excited,
Yeah.
right? I kind of enjoy that. You know, when a flight gets canceled, I kind of like my ears perk up and I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So, you know, it might be a total failure.
No, it's not going to be.
Uh,
It's going to be a total success.
I don't think it will be a failure, but what I'm saying is even a failure could be an incredible win. For example, we had 100 and something people in Detroit, and we were teeing off, and it was a little bit cloudy. We got to the seventh hole, which is very close to the clubhouse. Sorry, the sixth hole. And everyone said it was raining by that point, pouring down rain. Everyone said, well, we're going to go inside. I said, no, we're not. We're going to keep playing. And everyone was like, okay. And we played, and everyone got soaking wet.
Yep.
And it was one of the most memorable times I've had on a golf course is pouring down rain, wind, clubs slipping out of people's hands. And, you know, you can pray for good weather, but I think you're lucky if it's different than that. So, you know, the 400 some, we've obviously talked about it at length. There have been meetings, there have been phone calls, there have been ways of looking at it. And ultimately, we're going to have a full day
Yep.
at the golf course. So we'll all be hanging out in different capacities. There'll be different ways to play golf. And then at the end, we are going to culminate as a 400 some, not for 9 holes. So, you know, it'll be kind of mix and match.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be great. Can't wait. It's going to be at the club at Bond Head, October 6th. It's going to be so much fun. I'm curious as to the reaction of someone who goes to a mad scramble, and what do they say afterwards to you? Like what's their reaction to the day?
Oh man, let me see if I can pull some up actually. I would love to let me see. I wonder if I can pull some up. Do I have any in my inbox here? Um you would actually really like to see these. Man.
Because I'm sure people go into it not quite knowing what to expect, and then they're just hit with this wave of people on the same hole, on the same course. They're meeting new friends, they're telling great golf stories, and I'm just curious as to what their feedback is to you at the end of the day.
Okay, this is great. We've made like a deck to send off to courses because they're
Yep.
like, what is this? So we have an informational deck. So so I have two groups of quotes here. Some is from members that go, and some are from the courses that host it. Okay. William S. 6+ hours of driving for 4 hours of golf with over 100 strangers to hit the ball 9 times. 10 out of 10 on the fun scale and would recommend to a friend. Nate says, amazing experience, truly original, authentic RGC moment that I will treasure forever. Do more of these. Kevin, it's probably the most fun golf experience I've ever had. This is shaking things up in the golf world, and I think it's catching on. Most accepting group of golfers I have ever met. Golf community at its finest. Looking forward to more meetups in the future. Wow, I never thought I could play a 50-person plus scramble. I can't wait to experience this again, and I hope it happens more often. And the last one, it's kind of like, and this goes back to my quote, a big party built around one main event, the scramble. We play 9 holes like this. It's chaotic, it's casual, it's a one-of-a-kind golf experience to truly understand. And here's really the interesting part. This is where the courses come in. They say, here's Jace Kuiper from Bel Air Golf Park, not Bel Air in LA. Typically, hosting an event requires a significant amount of preparation and setup, but the RGC meetup took no work at all for my employees. The RGC group provided my golf course with a plethora of potential new customers, right? That's one of the things we kind of like
Yeah.
say, hey, like let us do this. You're gonna get new people. And then one of them says, the group went out after our last tee time, so we didn't lose any money, but we earned extra money from food and beverage, and we attracted new customers. And one Charlie Yates in Atlanta. I am still to this day hearing people mention the event and how much fun it was. And the last one here would definitely host again. Players were respectful and took care of the golf course. Unique and welcoming experience. So, you know, it's just kind of like it's one of my favorite things to do on earth because on both sides, like everybody loves it.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you would think, well, I like when you said it was kind of like controlled chaos, because I think that's exactly what it's going to be. And that's kind of what it's meant to be. All these people converging on the same hole at the same time. So what advice would you give to someone who hasn't been to a mad scramble or hasn't seen one before for that day? What are you telling them? What's your best advice?
Oh man. You know, like
other than mark your ball?
Yeah, you want to bring a Sharpie or mark your ball, but I really think on some level, honestly, it would be to spend some time like in reflection before traveling to the golf course and really try and understand what is about to happen and really sit back and think about how rare the opportunity is to do this, right? Because it doesn't just happen, right? This takes a tremendous amount of effort, tremendous amount of planning. Um, you know, like uh, this is a community effort, right? This has been building for years, almost a decade now. And this is something that we've been talking about. So sit there and really like if you're listening and you have a ticket and you're coming, like please take a moment and just reflect on why you're coming and also reflect on, this life goes rather quickly. And, every year that passes by, every birthday that I get, I just remember my early 20s and I think about, man, I had so much opportunity then and I didn't even know it. And that's part of being young.
Yeah.
And so this is that for you now, right?
Yeah.
As you think about this event, just reflect on that. This is one of a kind. You may have played the club at Bondhead before. You may have played with a 12-some. This is very unique.
Yeah.
So just gather the weight of everything that's happening and really prepare yourself to leave nothing on the table, right? Shake as many hands as you can, yell, wear your favorite golf outfit, wear your weirdest golf outfit, and just prepare to soak it in. Take some pictures, put your phone down, whatever you want to do, but just prepare to be fully present because it goes by really quickly once it starts.
Yeah, and you're going to get a chance to be a part of golf history, something that's never been done before. What a day it's going to be. Looking forward to it so much. I want to get into your golf story a little bit because you travel the world and you showcase these amazing courses and you tell these fantastic stories about golf courses and not only just the course itself but the people who are involved with them and the story of the course itself because every course has a story. I'm curious as to how your golf story got started. When did you pick up this crazy game?
Yeah. Every year that date gets further away. I was 29. I was about to turn 30.
So you got into
And
it pretty late.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, my family wasn't a golfing family. There was no golf happening, aside from my brother, who 10 years older than me, had picked up some clubs at a garage sale in high school. And so he got into golf kind of on his own. Got a job at the nearby 9-hole course, cleaning the bathrooms in order to play free golf. Kind of became a golf addict. But it didn't make his way into the family. And, but his passion for golf didn't die, right? It only got stronger and stronger. And he kind of was getting the family into golf. And I guess he had been playing for a while, probably 15 years, before he finally convinced me to play golf with him and my father. And, he kind of, it was this weird day, we were on a Christmas vacation. We were in Florida. And my brother said to me for the thousandth time, me and dad are going to go play golf. Do you want to join? And I said, no. But I was old enough to know that I was old enough to have some self-reflection. And I was kind of like, that's weird. I'm a yes man. Why am I saying no to this thing? And I knew why I was saying no. It's because me and my brother are different. He's a lawyer. I dropped out of high school. Golf isn't my game. It's a game for stuffy old dudes, right?
Yep.
It's not my thing. But I was convinced that I might also not be right.
Okay. That's wise. Showing
And
a lot of
so
wisdom there.
a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I decided to just say yes, and we had the best day.
Yeah.
I actually have this photo of me on the first tee box, first time I hit a golf ball, and I'm pointing at the, like Babe Ruth,
Yeah.
pointing out
Yeah.
there, like what am I doing? And I had like Vans on with paint all over them, and my brother got me a polo and a belt, and we go out and play, and yeah, I just had a great time, and I
Yeah.
don't know what happened, but the next day. It was Sunday, and I said, "Hey, Chris, do you want to play golf again?" And he was like, "No, I can't. Like, I have kids. I can't. Like, I'm good." And I was like, "Well, can I borrow your clubs?" And he goes, "Okay, fine." And he went over to the bag and he pulled out all of his Pro V1s.
Well, of course.
He said, yeah, go ahead, buy some used balls on the way.
Yeah.
And that was really the beginning of it. And then, golf did its thing on me. It never let go. Right. And I didn't either.
Yeah.
But golf really just kind of um like swept me up, and it gave me a leisurely purpose that had nothing to do with my day job. It gave me a new group of people that I had never met. It gave me new places that I had never been to that were all essentially parks, where I could try and solve this this puzzle that would drive me kind of crazy. I would drive by a field of grass and I would think it was a golf course, and then I'd look more and I'd realize, oh, it's a cemetery, or something that's not golf. And it just really embedded itself deep inside my core. And I guess perhaps the next question is, how did it become my job?
Yeah.
I can just start going there. I mean, I was a filmmaker at the time, so I
Yeah.
was making documentaries and music videos, commercials, things like that. And very shortly after getting hooked on golf, like within a matter of months, my brother sent me a copy of this book that he had read that had helped him with his golf game. And again, my brother, slightly more conservative than me, um, sent me this book, and maybe you've heard of it, Zen Golf.
Yeah. I've heard of it. Yeah.
So he sends me Zen Golf, and it's basically a bunch of little stories about the inner game of golf and
Yep.
kind of related to Buddhism. Essentially, the author is a Buddhist, and I read this book very quickly, and actually read it while I was I was in a Volvo station wagon doing a wraparound of all the Robert Trent Jones Trail in Alabama. So I was sleeping in my car, sneaking into Holiday Inns, going to Olive Garden, watching Phil win the Masters.
Living the
Right?
life. Yeah.
Living sort of like a life, but for me, it was the life for sure.
Yeah.
And I read this book on Buddhism and golf, and it really caught me at this moment where, I think everyone in their 30s, like early 30s, right? You're at this point where I don't know if 18 is adulthood anymore, but ultimately the difference between 20 and 30, 25 and 35 is a grand difference. So I was in this kind of like very special place
Yeah.
in my own life. And so here golf shows up, and then golf brings me a book on meditation. So I called the author and I was like, hey, your book's amazing. It changed my life. I've started meditating and I just wanted you to know that. And he called me back. He said, well, if you want to learn how to meditate, I'm just an hour north of Los Angeles. Come by. And I was like, well, how about Tuesday, right? I showed up. He taught me how to meditate. We played golf, and that began a 4-year journey of becoming a Buddhist and learning meditation and sort of treating golf in this deeply spiritual matter. And of course, my camera followed, right? I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
making these golf clips and these golf videos. And then I started wondering, could we prove that golf is a spiritual game by teaching people how to meditate and seeing if they get better at golf? And so we did that. We made that film. And in the process of doing that, the PGA Tour caught wind of it. And I got 2 phone calls from the PGA Tour. The first one was, hello, this is the PGA Tour legal department, and
Uh-oh.
we're going to sue you if you don't delete these clips that have Tiger Woods in them. And thank you very much. Goodbye. You have 48 hours. And I was totally scared. And then the next day, I got a call from the PGA Tour again. And, hi, this is Chris from the PGA Tour. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got the memo. And he's like,
I'll get to it. Yeah.
yeah. And Chris was like, I didn't know what you're talking about. Well, what is that? You got another call? Who called you? And I was like, never mind. What do you want? And he was like, well, I run our new business, and, we're interested in sort of creating more engaging content for the millennial golf generation. And we think that you'd be a good host. And I was like, fine. I don't want to be a host, though. So you got the wrong guy. I'm a behind the scenes filmmaker. And he said to me, this was on Thanksgiving Day. He said, well, if you change your mind, we're flexible and we have a budget, and we'd love to just hear what you would do if you could do anything. And I was like, hang on, you have a budget and I can do whatever I want. I'll do whatever I want. And so then Adventures in Golf sort of became an idea that I pitched in a room to a bunch of people, and they were like, we love it. And so that was 8 or 9 years ago. And that was the beginning of really everything on some level. Like,
Yeah.
it's one thing to get into golf and go crazy for it, but this was a golden ticket, right? And I didn't
Yeah.
realize at the time, but this is one of the biggest entities in golf saying, hey, go forth, experiment, play, right? And so this was also the time when like Instagram and social media, Twitter, YouTube, all of these content, channels were all relatively new. And so even the influencer didn't exist at the time, right? Like it was all mainstream media. And so I had the chance to kind of speak to a golf audience, perhaps before it was even known that that could be done.
Yeah.
And we developed sort of a language around golf and a brand, and then Random Golf Club became a thing years later when it was like, I said, oh, I don't really want to be the center of this thing, right? This is not the Erik Anders Lang show, even though that is the name of my podcast. But like, this is primarily designed to be an experience that people who feel the same ways about the game can connect with each other, and that's what our events are about, and that's why we love doing them because nowadays it's really about the community and not
Yeah.
about like my vision or anything. So that's how it all started.
It's a great story. It really is. So you fell in love with it almost immediately.
Oh, instantaneous.
Yeah. It's incredible. You're not the first person I've heard say that as soon as they have this perception of golf, old, stuffy, whatever. And then they go play with their friends and maybe they got some music on and they're hitting bad shots and they're having a laugh. They're having a great time. And then you realize, oh, this is what it's about. It's not the number on the scorecard at the end of the day. It's about the people you're playing with and the stories you're exchanging while you're out there for 4.5 hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of a red herring, right? Like, in my opinion, right? Like golf really plays with your desire around self and satisfaction. And that's kind of what like keeps the turbine going. But that second fan of the jet engine is really the friendships and the experiences that you build along the way that have no real connection to score or
Yeah,
outcome or et cetera. Like certainly it's great to keep score. I love doing it, right? It's great to
sure.
measure yourself, but that I think is sort of like a veiled version of the goal, right? I really believe that the deeper goal and the reason why people will play golf for decades is the way that you spend time with your friends is it's actually very modern when you look at the life that we live from a psychological, sociological standpoint. There's not, I mean, racket sports are great. They have a lot in common with golf, but in racket sports, you can't really play with anyone. And so here you can take your grandmother and Tiger Woods and you can make your dream foursome and
Yeah,
actually go play golf. And it's just this wild experience.
yeah. And until you experience it for yourself, I mean, sometimes people they don't understand that. But trust me, just go out and hit a golf ball, hit that first good shot, and then you
Yeah.
kind of go, ah, the light goes off, right? The angel starts singing. It's great. All of a sudden, it's an easy game, right? You hit that first good shot.
It might lead you to believe that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I can't
It
believe you haven't played golf in Canada before. Why not?
um There's no specific reason. One of the ironic things is I just played Great Northern in Denmark last week and, it was wonderful. I had a great time. And of course, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I would love to come back here. That's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I played a ton in Mexico, which is super. I played in Central America, but I haven't played in our next door neighbor.
yeah.
So, yeah, no, I mean, why not? I don't know. I think part of it is that I know that there's so much great golf in Canada that it's almost like we need to like do it right.
Yeah, yeah. There's a just a bevy of amazing courses up here.
I've traveled all over Canada a bunch.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been through Banff, Calgary,
Oh,
been to Vancouver several times. I've been to Toronto several times.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I have yet to tee it up.
yeah. Two of the very best courses in the world are out in Cabot, Cabot
Yep.
Cliffs, Cabot Links. They're constantly, in the top 20, 25 in the entire world. So you got to get out to play those courses. What makes a great golf course, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great question. I think like for me, it comes down to like a handful of things,
Hmm.
right? Um, I think out the gate when you walk in, right, the first experience you're going to have is how are you treated, right? And so I actually really value this concept of, like my favorite restaurant in Austin. It's a Jamaican restaurant. And, I went there the other night and I was saying to this friend that I brought, I was saying, one of my favorite things about this restaurant is I don't feel like I'm a customer here. I feel like I'm actually part of the equation,
Yeah.
right? And I don't feel like they're trying to hurry me out, and I don't feel like they're trying to sell me on anything, and I don't feel like my problem is their problem, right? I feel like my problem is our problem, and I think that's really important at a golf course too. So that's like number one, right? Is you want to walk in and feel welcomed. Number two, and by the way, golf is terrible at that, just off the record, right?
Yeah.
Like, or on the record, right? Like golf has, customer service ratings that are similar to airlines and postal service.
Yeah.
That's
It's a major problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just statistics. That's not conjecture. That's like actual math. But so that's really important to me, right? Number two is I think for me, a great golf course, Pete Dye said, is about three things: drainage, drainage, and drainage, right? And he's not wrong, right? Building a golf course is super technical. And so you need to make sure that it makes sense just from a technical standpoint, right? Like, and I'll even now I regret to say that I can get picky when it comes to certain types of bunkers, and you're like, it shouldn't be plugged in the bunker. That's
Yeah.
not the design. So those are little things, right? But on the scale of it, what we're talking about here, a little bit of history helps. Some age to a golf course. I
Yep.
think I don't drink wine, but I'm sure people love a certain age of
Yeah.
wine if they do a golf course. It's sort of there's a bit of character that comes out of older courses. I think also a great golf course doesn't necessarily need to be on, for example, the Cabot property. It doesn't need cliffs. And in fact, I give way extra points to a course that doesn't have cliffs. For example, at Bandon, you've got a handful of courses. My favorite is Trails, which has 14 inland holes just socked into the trees. But there's something about the arrangement of holes. And I talked to Michael uh, DMK, sorry, David McClay Kid. He built the original course at Bandon. And, I was like, well, what is it about? What is a good golf hole? And he was like, reveal. And, he brought up the fourth hole at Bandon where you kind of tee off with a 3-wood or a long iron, kind of, and you don't see much. You just kind of, and then the fairway's going to turn right, but you don't see anything. You kind of walk down this bold fairway, and all of a sudden you start to peek out and you see, oh my goodness. Not only is the green there, but there's the entire Pacific Ocean all the way to China. And so there's an element of reveal that I think a golf course absolutely needs, where you kind of walk from the green up to the tee, and all of a sudden you're on the tee box, and it's like it's just magical.
Yeah.
So there's an element of magic magic is revealing the rabbit in the hat, and so magic on the golf course is really important. Um, you know, and so with those things combined, you set up the stage for a very great golf course. I do want to caveat though that I ultimately still am a firm believer that golf course comes secondary to overall experience, which is a factor of your mental state when you arrive. Are you in a positive state of mind? Are you convinced that you're going to have a good round? Are you convinced that your score doesn't dictate your satisfaction? And are the people that you are playing with on the same wavelength? And are you committed to celebrating their good shots over reminiscing over your bad shots, right?
Yeah.
That's actually the play. The golf course is the stage.
Yeah.
Uh, but I could talk about golf courses for a long time.
I know you could, and I could listen to you talk about golf courses for a long time. I'm sure you've been asked this question a billion times, but I've never had the chance to ask you, what's your favorite course? What's your favorite place to play?
It's very hard to boil down, but I have played this course in Scotland twice now, only twice. And it's a little links course that sits like kind of in between Troon and um, gosh, I don't know what the most notable course is west of it, but it's right in that little neck of the wood there. You can see the Troon Ferris wheel from Western Gales. And it's a pretty simple piece of land. You don't really see the water. Both times I've played there, it's been completely gray and rainy.
Perfect.
Most tee shots are blind. And uh, but the segmentation of the holes is truly creative. And never have I stood on such a flat, simple piece of land and been so confused as to where we're going or what we're doing. It probably has a lot in common with a course like Prestwick. But Western Gales also has this added bonus to it that it's just very low key,
Yeah.
right? It's not really promoting itself. It's not really trying to be much other than a simple golf course on a simple piece of land. And because of those reasons and the things I stated before, right, it really sits there for me as a magical memory. I played there in 2018. I hadn't played since until a month ago. And I happened to be back in Scotland and I said, hey, my friend Stefan, who's a member there, a young member, a doctor, great guy. I said, hey, can we sort out a round? We have a flight in the afternoon, but maybe we could play in the morning. And so I drove 3 hours from St. Andrews, and then I drove 2.5 hours back to Edinburgh Airport. But it was well worth the 4.5 hours on the turf. And it stood up, right? Like I was like, oh no, is it not going to be as good as I remember it? And certainly it was as good, if not better. And the people that played hadn't been there before and they loved it. And just for me, I think I just have to pick Western Gales because of it's there's sort of there's something attractive about something that's not trying to get your attention.
It's playing hard to get,
A
of course.
little bit, yeah. Yeah.
That's great. I love it. I was expecting you to say something like St. Andrews or Augusta or Pebble Beach or one of the courses that people always seem to default to. But it's great
Yeah.
to hear that your favorite place to play is this place that, let's face it, not a lot of people maybe on this side of the pond have heard about it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
I don't know what lists it's on or whatever,
Yeah.
but the St. Andrews is amazing, and I love it. But I do feel somewhat of a responsibility to those that want to go a little deeper because there's enough people saying St. Andrews.
Yeah.
I think I think I'd be doing a disservice by not saying, hey, look deeper, my friend. Right? There's another course that you can also, there's yeah, up there, I could say Shiskin, I could
Yeah.
say, I could say Para Umu, there's weird courses all over the globe. We just went to Greenland to play golf, and that was a magical 9-hole course that had more rocks than, grass.
Love it.
Uh, but yeah, but Western Gales is truly like, so I breathe in the air a little deeper there.
Nice. Nice. You have so many great videos. I've just been going through them. I've been just devouring them over the past couple of months. And one that caught my eye, kind of caught me off guard a little bit. You've talked to so many people in the industry. Just you've done all these great stories. A short one where you told the story of how nervous you were to meet somebody named Tiger Woods. This was back in November of 2019. That made me laugh out loud, that story. To just so people who haven't heard that, maybe just talk about how nervous you were to meet Tiger.
Yeah, well, you have an image in your head of what someone looks like or who someone is, but none of that encapsulates, there's a spirit inside of us, and when you stand next to someone, it's inescapable, right? And especially if you're tuning into that, right? Like there is an energy there. And I had known for a few days that I was going to be meeting Tiger Woods. I was a guest at one of his photo shoots. And it was just like this, it's almost like, in the movies when the character knows he's going to die, like
That's an interesting way to put it.
well, yeah, well, it's this impending
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you even might know when it's going to happen, and it sort of builds suspense, right? This is a Hitchcock thing where it's like, the clock. You need the clock to be ticking, and um, so I had the clock going and when I was going to ultimately meet the best golfer in the world. And he had gone in to change, and when he came out, he was wearing his Sunday red outfit, right? So black pants, black shoes, red shirt, black hat. And that was just like almost too much, like, geez, man, now, and we met, and I was really nervous. And I remember my photographer had a Garmin watch on, which tells him, his own heart rate. And shortly after we finished the photographs, his watch said to him, like, are you okay? Right? Are you having a stroke? Your heart rate is like 180. And mine was too, probably. We chatted for a minute. We talked a little bit about, I know he's a watch fan, so we talked a little about watches. I found out that he and I have something in common, which apparently is rather unusual. We both sleep with our watches on, which was big news in the watch world. It sort of made its way into these like blogs about, oh my God, Tiger Woods sleeps with his watch on.
You broke the story, Erik.
I broke some type of story about Tiger and his nighttime activities related to watches, of course. But yeah, no, it was wild.
That's great. I love it. I haven't had a chance to meet him yet, but I'm sure my heart rate would be much more than 180, for sure. We're going to finish up with something we call the Fast Five, a chance to get to know Erik a little bit better. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. These are really tough questions, by the way, just so you know.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Music on the course, yes or no?
Sure.
Yeah. What kind?
Oh man, we've made a playlist actually for our Mad Scramble events, so I can send you a link. But it's got everything. I love reggae. I love oldies. I love classic rock. I love pop synth. I love pop. I really like any music that has some type of uplifting emotional context to it. So, but probably true Jamaican ska and reggae is where I find most of my time.
Very nice. You slip any country in there a little
Love
bit?
country.
Okay.
I love country. I love Alan Jackson.
Yep.
I really like Randy Travis.
Oh,
Got a couple.
90s country guy. I like that.
Oh yeah, old country. Like Randy Travis has got two tracks on the plays. He's got Digging Up Bones,
Yep.
and then he's got I believe we also have Forever and Ever, Amen.
Love it. Love it. If you like 90s country, just as a side note here, check out young guy by the name of Zach Top.
Okay.
He has that traditional 90s country sound. You're going to love him. If you like Randy Travis and Alan Jackson, those guys, Zach Top.
Zach.
Yes. Top. All right.
Got it. Back top artist.
Yep. How many holes in ones do you have? Or holes in one, I should say.
I have 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah,
Explain.
so I had one on my second year of playing golf at my favorite golf course in LA, Rustic Canyon. On the sixth hole, I had a 4-iron from 200 yards. I almost shanked it, but somehow the punch bowl green made its way into the hole. Then I made a hole in one at my friend's backyard golf course in Malibu. There was an 8-inch cup from 60 yards.
Okay.
That's the half.
Okay.
Then my most recent hole in one was last year at Butler Pitch and Putt, our down home Austin pitch and putt here.
Nice.
On the ninth hole, and I was down 2 strokes. We were playing stroke play, so on the tee box. I said I was 2 down, and I said I need to make a hole in one to have a chance. And sure enough, threw it long, zipped back, went right in the cup. I screamed. My friends were on the third hole. They were like, I was like, "Did you hear that?" They were like, "Yeah." I was like, "That was the hole in one." And what's cool about Butler is, it's just this like shack of a pro shop there, and you get to write your name on the wall. So that was cool.
That's great. I love places like that. Goat Hill
Yeah.
Park is kind of like that too.
It's Goat Hill of Austin.
Oh, perfect. Love it. Love it. First concert, last concert went to.
Great. Billy Joel, first concert. I was 16 with my parents, Madison Square Garden. I remember he has that song, Good Night Saigon, where the helicopter comes in.
Yep.
And I was getting a drink or something. And as I was coming back into the stadium, the chopper was buzzing. And I thought there was a helicopter in the stadium, like I was my first experience. This is 1995, 1996, right? Like we had, we were a bit more basic then as far as what was available in audio
Yes.
visual effects. Last concert I went to, oh geez. Well, I guess this counts. After Xander won the Claret Jug, I went for a walk through Troon, and I had to go. Someone on my team needed like contact lens solution, and so we walked into downtown Troon, which was like a 30-minute walk, but everyone was jovial, everyone was walking around. So we walk into town, and on our way into town, we see this party, and there's a party, and they're serving burgers, and we're like, all right, we're going to go back to that party. So we go to the Tesco, we get the contact lens solution, and we're walking back. But on our way to the party, we see another party. And it's a party at like the Troon Concert Hall. And so we walk in and they're like, are you here for the concert? And we were like, we don't know. We're just here. And they were like, well, the concert's sold out. So you can't go to the concert, but you can go to the bar inside. So we go inside and then we go into the bar and we're like, well, this isn't that cool. So it's kind of empty. So we like kind of go to walk out and they're like, you have to walk out that way. And we walk out that way. And then we realized, well, there's the concert. So we just walked into the concert and it was a band called Sightlines. And it was a British band. And they started the night off with the song from The Killers. The song. Yeah. The Killers, the one that they played all the Michigan games.
Oh, Mr. Brightside.
Mr. Brightside. Yeah. And so here we are just sitting in this concert. We talked to some people, talked to some ladies, and we're having a good time. And then, we'd probably stay for 40 minutes and then we walked back to the other party. But anyway, that was the last concert I've been to.
That's fantastic. That's great. Still with the music, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Right. Good. So it's either Elton John, Rocket Man,
okay,
or Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Do you want to belt out a few lines from either?
I mean, I think probably need the backing track for that. But,
yes.
You're making me think maybe I should focus on Randy Travis.
Yeah.
I do the low voice, right?
Yeah.
Like, God, what are the lines from Randy Travis?
If you wonder how long I'll be here, something like that.
Was that George Strait? George Strait's
fantastic too.
Neon Moon would actually be a great karaoke. Do you know the words?
Brooks and Dunn. Brooks and Dunn, right? Neon Moon.
Let's sing Neon Moon together.
I can't sing Neon Moon.
No, you're in it.
I don't know the words to Neon Moon.
Down bar across the railroad track.
Yeah, Brooks and Dunn. Yeah, there we go. Oh, geez, what a shame. My connection is breaking up here. It's
down on my side of town. That lonesome feeling comes to my door and the whole world turns.
Fantastic. I just saw Brooks and Dunn about a month and a half ago here in Toronto. It was great.
I'm jealous.
They are really, really good. And finally, again, you're probably asked this a lot, but the person you most want to golf with that you haven't had a chance to yet.
Ooh. Huh. That's a tough one.
But they pay me the big bucks, Eric, to ask the hard-hitting questions.
So person living that I really want to play golf with the most. Huh.
What about that guy who likes watches, sleeps with his watch on?
Oh, Tiger?
Yes.
I'd be kind of nerve-wracking. I'd like to play golf with Bill Murray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That would be, what a day that would be.
Yeah. That would be really interesting.
He's just.
And I feel like it's kind of possible. Like it might happen.
Yep. Well, you should get into that, the Pro-Am, Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Yeah. That would be sick.
Or the one in Tahoe. What's the name of that one? I forget the name of that one.
Yeah, the Reno Tahoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call
Very
it.
good. But for now, we got you. We got you at the 400 Summit, the club at Bond Head on Sunday, October 6th. The collab everybody wanted and now will get between Golf Town and Random Golf Club. It's going to be fantastic. Are you as excited as I am for October 6th, my friend?
I am so excited, dude. It's on my calendar. I can't wait. I'll be there early. I'll be there like with all my bells and whistles. I can't wait.
Erik Anders Lang, thank you so much for joining me on the Come Out and Play podcast. This has been the Come Out and Play podcast. I have been Hugh Burrell. So until next time, take a mulligan and have some fun out there.